Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I am Sunique and this is the latest in my Decan walk videos, and this is focusing on the Four of Cups here, and this runs astrologically from around July the 12th to the 21st, 22nd. Let me apologise for the lies. I will try and do something about it if I can post-production, but we've had so many days of rain and I've put off doing this video because it's been so dark, but we'll carry on like troopers. Anyway, back to the video. Right, the crystals assigned from the Crystal Magic Tarot in this deck here, which I always use to inform me of what crystals to use alongside the card, are Labradorite for the High Priestess, which I think is lovely because we have sort of flashes here. We don't see the full picture, we just see flashes of it. So I think that's really great the way that's aligned to the High Priestess, you know. We have flashes of intuition, but yeah, when we try to grab them, they're like an elusive butterfly. Can't be pinned down. And I think that's very much Labradorite and the High Priestess energy, so much so. For the Chariot, we have Pyrite, which is very cube in form. Even the tiny ones, the clusters, they're all in little cubes. And I think that does go align a lot with the Chariot. When you have a look at the cube that the Chariot here is actually encased in, which I've said before, it looks like concrete. That reminds me of that. And for the Four of Cups themselves, it's actually pink halite, I think, which is rock salt. And I don't have any because it's a mineral that tends to just flake away and dissolve. And where I live, the atmosphere is such as that basically is what happens. It just crumbles away, which is quite upsetting really, because it's a beautiful crystal. So let's get onto the astrology side of these cards. I'll just put those to one side for a second. And for this, I'm actually using Celestial Bodies, Astrology and Numerology Oracle Deck and Guidebook by Deviant, who created the Serpent Fire Tarot and the She-Wolf Tarot, both of which I have featured in other videos. But this is such a great informative deck, and it's actually one I managed to buy, I think it was about a year ago, but I managed to buy this locally, which is like, it was amazing. I had to grab it. Very expensive, but I had to have it rather than actually buy it online. Anyway, I digress. So we have very much a water energy here, because the High Priestess is aligned to the moon, which is again aligned to water and the tides. The moon has a real effect on the sea, doesn't it? And then for the Chariot we have Cancer, again aligned to water. You can see that beautiful sea there with the moon forming a path. Have you ever seen that? Oh, it is just so magical to see a path formed by the light, the reflected light of the moon. Oh, it's amazing. And I always think of the goddess Selene when I see that, and maybe that's a pathway to her, because Selene, as I'm aware, is the goddess of the full moon. Yes, so those beautiful cards there align. And of course it's water. So there we have the water glyph with the corresponding astrological signs. So I just want to have a little look in the guidebook about the entry to water and the way it actually aligns to the Four of Cups, because it really did for me. So the element of water is the element of intuition, emotionality, unconscious force, healing, psychic powers, and the expression of our feelings. And clearly this individual is in their feelings. It aligns to Cancer, Scorpio and Pisces, the three water signs, which you can see the glyphs for around the outside of that there water card. And they remind us of the power of going within, of sitting in the interior spaces of our heart. It couldn't align more, could it? It's just so evocative of this image here. It's an element guided by emotion. So freezing and boiling or maintaining its liquid state, water is unduly influenced by its environment, an expression of its unique sensitivity. And another card from that deck that I want to speak to is for the actual number, which is 4. So we have the 4 here, the 4 of Cups. So this is the image for that 4, which might go some way to explaining why our emotions have become blocked. So let me go into this a little bit further. On the tree of life, our 4 is represented here by mercy, and it's given the association of kindness and love. So it's the first of the emotive attributes of the Sephirot. Here we start to come into our emotions, good and bad. When we come over here, it actually transforms into something completely different. But here we've got a little inclination of that 5 that's come in. But the thing about the number 4 is its stability, its structure, its solidness, its form, you know, almost like this cube here. It's a solid structure. If we think about the Emperor, totally solid. Whereas water is fluid. Water flows, doesn't it? Emotions flow. But here, if we look on the Thoth card, those emotions aren't flowing back into the Sea of Binah, the Sea of all possibilities. They're stopped here. So that flow has been interrupted, if you like. And the lotus stems are not gaining any nourishment from that sea. And the little flower at the top, bless it, it's getting depleted. I like the way it's got the moon at the top there. But yeah, it's getting depleted there, and it's starting to wilt through lack of nourishment from the Sea of all possibilities, the Sea of Binah. And so we're feeling emotionally stuck. Because 4 contains us. And if our emotions are being contained or restricted, then that's going to actually dull us down, or dull our intuition, dull our creativity. What I'm thinking here is sort of like artists, you know, if artists are given parameters, then that can stilt their creativity. So by making a dam, if you like, and stopping the water from flowing, then it actually has got the potential to stagnate, or the danger to stagnate. Order and structure and water don't seem to really want to go together. So this is like controlling our emotions, it's controlling our creativity. Putting parameters on that creativity is unnatural. You know, containing emotion. I mean, if you think of a relationship in this sort of context here, where we're being unable, if you like, to take or to show our emotions. We're too scared to actually be in our emotions because we fear retribution for it. So that could be another way of looking at it. This relationship has stopped flowing. We've become bored, or we've become controlled, or the parameters of the relationship have brought us into a place where we feel controlled for whatever reason. Because Cancer as an energy is emotionally demanding. It wants to give and receive. You know, it's in constant motion, like the moon is always cycling, it's always in different cycles. And although it can be empathetic, it actually can be narcissistic, one of the shadow traits. And I think we can actually see that in the Shimmering Veil Tarot. So this is Silicon Ways Shimmering Veil Tarot. So in this deck, where we have elements as opposed to wands, cups, swords and pentacles, we have the actual elements. So here we have the 4 of water, which you can see by this glyph here. And here we have a figure, if you can see the figure, totally enclosed. And it's all about them. The world outside doesn't exist here. So this is sort of the narcissistic idea I was talking about, reflected in this card. So caught up here in their emotions, going round and round and round. And again, if we look at the Thoth Tarot, and what that water is just flowing in one direction here. The sea's restless, the cups are heavy, and they actually look like they're going to sink, or they have sunk into the surface of the water. They've become too heavy. If that water just keeps flowing down into those bottom 2 cups, they're actually going to sink straight into that sea. It looks like the whole structure there is about to collapse. So this is about self-absorbed arrogance in one way of looking at it. It's passive, and it's the drawbacks of pleasure. So if we think back to the 3 of Cups, where our maidens were all drinking out of their cups and having a wonderful time, maybe this is just overkill and we've had too much from these cups and we just really don't want any more. And so the Ace of Cups, which is the cup of opportunity, is being ignored. And here we've got sort of mountains in the distance there. So maybe that's the road this figure has travelled, and it's all become a little bit too much. And I have heard it compared to the Buddha under the fig tree, gaining enlightenment. If you know the story of the Buddha, he was a prince, and he was cosseted and given everything he wanted inside the palace, but told he couldn't leave. So he didn't know what the world was like outside the palace. He only ever saw what was inside. And what was inside was, he was very cosseted there, so he wasn't allowed to see illness or old age or death or anything that could upset him. But of course, being a young man, curiosity got the better of him. And so he did leave the palace. So when he did leave the palace, he actually saw what the world was really all about. And so he intentionally withdrew, sat under the Bodhi tree. And what can bring happiness is peace of mind. And so he sat there. That's a condensed version of the Buddha and his journey to enlightenment. Another way of looking at this card is to see it as just being bored, really. Complete boredom. Because our emotions are stilted and we don't feel like we can actually have what it is that would excite us. We thought the world was going to be exciting, and then we came slap bang down into reality and realised that's not what life is like. We have moments of excitement, but that we had in the 3 of Cups here, as we see in this card from the Light Seers Tarot here, this lovely time that we've been having doesn't last, and maybe we're just harking back to those wonderful times, and we think, well, this is boring reality now. I want to get back here. I don't want to be here. I'm fed up. And so this here bowl of opportunity, this cup of opportunity, is totally being ignored. And that apathy and boredom is totally being illustrated in the Deviant Moon Tarot. This is the borderless edition, Patrick Valenza. Not only is this figure ignoring that cup of opportunity, but flicking it off of the wall. Sort of reminds me of a cat, you know, when they just flick something off a counter. Don't care. So I think that's a brilliant image. Don't want it, don't care. And then again, this is the 78 Tarot Animal Edition, limited edition here. And we have a panda. And this panda has all these 3 cups here, which have got the elements here on the outside. And then the water element is up in the tree here, being ignored. And if you notice, it's the only one that's actually hot. These have been left to cool. And so you couldn't even be bothered with those. Oh, I do love a panda. Beautiful. In the Tarot of Light and Shadow, which is brilliant because look at the imagery on there. We have the crab for Cancer, we have the moon, we have the cups, we have the glyphs for the moon in Cancer. And we have this little fish poking his head up, curiously wondering what's going on here. So I think that's a beautiful, beautiful imagery. And that's the Tarot of Light and Shadow. So a little look at the entry, actually. I don't think I ever have. There we go. 4 of Cups. There. I'll just hold it up. There is a calm in the blending of inner and outer. It is a reflection of the balance between them. So how our inner world reflects our outer world. And I think that's another powerful message of this card. If we see the cup half empty, then we see the cup half empty. If we see the cup half full, then it is actually full of those possibilities. So I think that's a lovely way of looking at it as well. Is our attitude determines how we live our lives, I think. Good reminder, I think. So that's the Tarot of Light and Shadow. So we've become bored, we've become apathetic, we can't be bothered, as shown in that, well, most of those cards actually. And I thought it was really cool the way it's been depicted in the Urban Tarot and the write-up in the book as well. I think it's fantastic. So we've got these 2 guys here, they're watching TV, one's on his phone or tablet here. They're in their underwear. They're totally comfortable with each other. So the honeymoon period is over here, most definitely. They're settled into their relationship. But there's a danger here of actually becoming bored. They're not going out anymore. They're not dressing up for each other. They're not making an effort for each other. They've just become complacent. And in the guidebook it says something about... Hold on. I think I'll read it because it's quite rude. But let me read it because I think it's funny. This card represents a relationship where people are no longer afraid to fart in front of each other. So we've got spilt milk there as well. So, you know, that could be another sort of metaphor. And there we have the glass almost empty and the glass full. So maybe that harks back to that message of the Light and Shadow Tarot as well. Brilliant image. And it's very Thoth based, that one. And the title of the card is actually Luxury on the Thoth. But this isn't the luxury here that we're enjoying anymore. This is being bored with luxury. We have what we need and we want more, but then when we get more, it doesn't satisfy us, and so we want more again. So it's become tedious in a way, and we need a way to get out of this. But just sitting here waiting for someone to save us isn't going to cut the mustard, is it? And I think that is really shown here in the Nameless one. So this is a monster of a deck. See if I can actually find the card. So this is a tarot and an oracle deck, so it is Mahusive. So let's try and find the card. There we go. Here's the card. Right. So we've got an image here of a frog on top of the large cup here. And then we've got the 3 cups to the side. So it's a different formation that we're seeing here. But the point of it is he's stuck there. I mean, he could hop to one of the other cups, but no, he's stuck right there. And this frog here is waiting for someone to save him, and he has a crown on his head. So he's waiting for the princess to come and kiss him and turn him back into a prince. He's waiting for something better. I think that's brilliant the way that one is depicted as well. So in a nutshell, our figure here wants more, but is totally unwilling to act. He wants somebody else to do it for him. So they've intentionally withdrawn from all external life. And maybe they are meditating. However, look at the posture here. I mean, this red tunic, which is, red is all about life force and energy, is actually covered by a tunic. This looks to be a yellowy green colour. That's actually preventing that red energy to come forth. His arms are crossed over the solar plexus, which is our centre of will, wanting to do things. It's absolutely crossed over, so the will is not being activated there. And if you look at the Chariot card on the Thoth, well, the Chariot actually carries the Holy Grail. We're looking down there into the Holy Grail, which again is a cup. And so our figure here is refusing to take that Holy Grail, is refusing that quest, refusing to follow his purpose, shall we say, or their purpose. I know a lot of these figures are quite androgynous, thankfully. So even though we have status and we have wealth in this depiction here, it's not bringing joy anymore. And maybe that figure expected more from life, more of, what they got here in the Three of Cups, more of that happiness, that joy, that wonderful feeling, and wanted more of the same of that wonderful feeling, expected more. But it's not what is being offered. Reality has come to play, and like the Buddha, having actually seen what reality is, cannot unsee it. Once you've seen something, you can't unsee it, can you? So I'd say that's sitting comfortably in discomfort there. Drowning in abundance. When I went to Rome, I was only there for a few hours, but the overwhelming feeling I got was just too much. There was too much to see. My eyes couldn't take it in. My brain couldn't process it. And it was totally wasted on me because it was just too much. And I had to refuse that beautiful experience because my senses just couldn't process it. And it actually dulled my senses in a way. And Cancer and the Moon, it can also be about self-directed maternal care. So if we need to mother ourselves, we need to look after ourselves, and maybe we do sometimes actually need to shut down because it's all just too much. So what happens if we do find comfort in discomfort? Well, as we can see here in the Nicoletta Ceccoli Tarot, we've formed such a bubble around ourselves that no one or nothing can get in, and there's a real danger in that. And we can also see in the Osho Zen Tarot that same sort of energy, and we become less than who we could be. To me, this postponement almost speaks of agoraphobia, the fear of actually connecting with the world again. So once we've cut ourselves off so much, then we might actually really find it difficult to reconnect with life. So let's have a little look what they say about the crystal aligned to the card. Four of Cups, pink halite. There we go. Four of Cups. So this is the image very pink. But this is quite interesting, isn't it? Because here's that constriction. So although Hesed is aligned to Jupiter, which is very, very expansive, the 4 is now constricting that energy. I think that's really well illustrated there, the way that, you know, we're stuck. It's stopped. All this energy is stopped. It's been restricted. It says, in the same way as a salt bath is great for detoxing your body, pink halite is essential if you need to detox your thoughts. This pale pink salt-based crystal can help purify your spirits if you're feeling negative, bringing a fresh sense of perspective and clarity, especially if your energy is being drained by someone or something in your energy sphere, even if it's yourself. Pink halite can help you spot and stop this repressive energy and cleanse your aura from all negative influence, leaving you feeling energetically refreshed and recharged. So there's a way to work with pink halite to help us in the times when we're feeling this way, that our energy cannot flow. So that's my little look at the 4 of Cups and the associated astrology and crystal. And I hope that helped in some way. I hope someone gets some value from these videos. I absolutely get value from doing them and researching. It just deepens those layers of meaning for me of the card. And so thank you so much for watching. Until the next time, friends. Bye for now. Bye.